Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of a new Trekkie. My 5-year mission to search out Star Trek media, to seek out our fans and merchandise, to boldly go where no fan has gone before.
So you're probably looking at the town like, wow, we've skipped a lot of the original run of Star Trek, haven't we? Actually, no. Technical difficulties had arise. Originally there was going to be a game review, and technicalities happen, and sometimes you don't have the cables and the wires, so you gotta backtrack sometimes and, reschedule things. But today's video, it's on the very first episode, or the pilot episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. And in this case, it's Encounter at Farpoint. So what was the story of Encounter at Farpoint? On the maiden mission of the USS Enterprise NCC 1701, an omniscient being known as Q challenges the crew to discover the secret of a mysterious base in an advanced and civilized fashion. Basically, he's just saying, hey, you guys, you are uncivilized, and you guys are not, you guys are terrible. And I gotta say, although, basically, my beginning thoughts of this episode, the pilot is, although the acting is good, and all that, I overall thought, basically, I don't really think that the pilot is, like, a true example of what the show would eventually become. Because sometimes everyone has a bad pilot. But when I say bad pilot, I don't mean, say, oh, this would have been, say, the killer to The Next Generation. It's not. It's just, I think the pilot episode is kind of, in honesty, boring. But the acting, in all honesty, the effects, the set design.
My orders are to examine Farpoint, a starbase built there by the inhabitants of that world. Meanwhile, I am becoming better acquainted with my new command, this Galaxy-class USS Enterprise.
The costuming, the camera work, all that, in a way, helps save it, in honesty. And speaking of cast, who was in the cast for this episode? Who was in this cast for the very first pilot of A New Generation of Star Trek? See how I did that? But instead of, say, William Shatner as our captain, we have Patrick Stewart as Captain Jean-Luc Picard, Jonathan Frakes as Commander William Riker. He's basically a combination of, say, he's kind of like a combination of Kirk, and that he's sort of say, the attacker, the muscle, and the fact that, he's willing to go do the things that Kirk would do, he is whereas Picard is the captain of the ship. Riker is the one who's going to go into battle for him. LeVar Burton as Lieutenant Geordi LaForge. Dennis Crosby as Tasha Yar. Michael Dorn as Lieutenant Worf. And Gates McFadden as Dr. Beverly Crusher. Marina Sirtis as Counselor Deanna Troy. Brent Spiner as Data. Will Wheaton as Wesley. John D. Lancey as Q. Michael Bell as Zorn. So, I think this episode kind of has some highlights in that we have some of the introduction to the characters. And, like, say, for a beginning introduction of Picard, he seems like he is an experienced captain and he knows what he's doing. And I kind of like him. Like, although we haven't gone to season 2 of Star Trek yet, I think I like him so far. I think I like Picard once we continue to get into that.
That's quite a directive. Would you mind identifying what you are?
We call ourselves the Cube.
I was actually a bit surprised that the Kelly, he ended up appearing as Admiral Leonard McCoy. And I got to say that was surprising. Especially because when you see him, it doesn't really look like him. That makeup on him looks great.
But at your age, sir, I thought you shouldn't have to put up with the time and trouble of a shuttlecraft.
Hold it right there, boy.
Sir?
What about my age?
Sorry, sir. If that subject troubles you.
Troubles me? What's so damn troublesome about not having died?
And yeah, like, I kind of think like the way he's talking to Data, I actually kind of like it. Sort of like say, hey, this is my send-off to my character.
I remember every fact I'm exposed to, sir.
I don't see no points on your ears, boy. But you sound like a Vulcan.
No, sir. I'm an android.
Almost as bad.
Which makes me think, like, say, were the Star Trek films that were still going on with Shatner and all them, were they still going on, or was it at this point I think they were probably ending. I gotta say, although the one character I feel like okay, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna end up liking her character, was Counselor Deanna. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna like her character, and the fact that, okay, she is able to read minds, she is able to think forward, and all that stuff. I'm just unsure if is that really gonna get old, and all honesty. But, I mean, overall, I mean, the acting for the episode is really good. You get the scope of the characters. I think that Q, he is a very over-the-top, eccentric character who, although he is the bad guy, you can't not help in really kind of liking him, in honesty.
Do we dare oppose it?
Captain, thy little centuries go by so rapidly. Perhaps I will better understand this. Actually, the issue at stake is patriotism. You must return to your world and put an end to the commies. All it takes are a few good men.
What? That nonsense is centuries behind us.
But you can't deny that you're still a dangerous, savage child race.
And I'm honest, since I'm still watching the season 1, it's kind of strange seeing a Klingon, being part of the Enterprise crew. So, but yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think but eventually, I bet if during I'm gonna say it, that the Enterprise, Next Generation, actually ran longer than the first season of the original run of Star Trek. So I bet there's gonna be a moment where we see a Vulcan interact with Data, or not. I kind of think that would be pretty, because I like the joke that McCoy makes, say, hey, androids, they're probably about as bad as Vulcans are. Cause I think it'd be pretty cool to see, like, you know, how Vulcans have, you know, changed since the original run of Trek. But what do you guys think? Am I right or wrong? Do you think the original run, the original episode, or the pilot of The Next Generation Encounter at Farpoint, does it hold up? Put your thoughts, and don't forget to put those comments down below. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. See you later.